What is going on, Vikings Nation? Buckle up because today's Minnesota Vikings news is the kind that keeps you up at night wondering, did we let the wrong guy walk? Did we blink at the worst possible time? Because while we were building around J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold just walked into Seattle and ended up hoisting a Lombardi trophy. Yes, you heard that right. Sam Darnold left the Minnesota Vikings last offseason, joined the Seattle Seahawks, and wound up winning Super Bowl 60. And now the pressure in Minnesota? It's real. It's loud. And it's getting impossible to ignore. So here's the big question, Vikings fans. Did the front office miscalculate? Or are we still in the middle of a long-term master plan that just hasn't paid off yet? Stay with me, because this story has layers. When the Vikings chose to let Darnold walk and commit to J.J. McCarthy, it felt like a bold, forward-thinking move. McCarthy was the future. The Michigan Wolverines product had upside, poise, and a winning pedigree. The organization believed in the development curve. But football doesn't wait for development. The NFL doesn't pause for patience. And when Darnold found success elsewhere, especially at the highest level, it amplified every doubt about Minnesota's decision. Now, the Minnesota Vikings are facing a reality check. Because in this league, results matter. And watching a former quarterback win it all? That stings. Head coach Kevin O'Connell addressed the situation on February 24th, and his words were carefully chosen. He said he still views McCarthy the same way, but admitted that the timeline has shifted. And that phrase right there, Vikings fans, is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's just the timeline is in a different place for all of us than it was at that point, O'Connell explained. That doesn't sound like blind commitment. That sounds like reevaluation. He also emphasized responsibility, using data, experiences, and organizational feelings to guide decisions. Translation? The Minnesota Vikings are reassessing everything at quarterback. And honestly, can you blame them? McCarthy has dealt with unfortunate injury situations and hasn't had the smooth runway everyone hoped for. Development isn't linear, especially in the NFL. Former Vikings linebacker Ben Labor jumped into the conversation and offered a very interesting interpretation. He believes O'Connell's quote hints at something bigger. According to Labor, this makes him think the Vikings will target a start-now veteran quarterback and let J.J. marinate for another year. That's not a small statement. That's a potential shift in strategy. Imagine that scenario. A proven veteran walks in, stabilizes the offense, and McCarthy gets another year to grow without the weight of immediate expectations. Vikings fans, would you be on board with that? Then we heard from Executive Vice President of Football Operations Rob Brzezinski. And if you were hoping for clarity, well, he kept every door wide open. Brzezinski said the Vikings are going to explore every opportunity. Not some opportunities. Not just backup options. Every opportunity. He made it clear the team needs a baseline level of quarterback play to be effective. That's a subtle but powerful statement. It suggests they're not just handing the job to anyone. He also mentioned financial feasibility, reciprocity in trades, and the complexity of these decisions. In other words, this isn't just about talent. It's about cap space, leverage, and timing. And here's where things get spicy. One name floating around the speculation mill? Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. Now, before you lose your mind in the comments, let's break this down calmly. Vikings insider Alec Lewis from The Athletic addressed this on The Alec Lewis Show. Lewis pointed out that the entire conversation could shift depending on Murray's contract situation. If the Cardinals can't find a trade partner and consider a post-June cut, things get very interesting. Yes, it would mean a massive dead cap hit for Arizona. But it would also put Kyler Murray on the open market. And then it becomes about choice. Would Murray want long-term financial security from a team like the New York Jets, who reportedly have significant cap space? Or would he consider a one-year prove-it deal in a strong situation like Minnesota? That's where the Daniel Jones comparison came in, the idea of taking a short-term deal in the right environment to reset value and chase long-term success. Now imagine Kyler Murray in Kevin O'Connell's system. The movement, the play action, the weapons. Vikings fans, can you picture it? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is still speculation. And Brzezinski made it clear. You can't manufacture what isn't there. The options have to exist, and the numbers have to work. Meanwhile, J.J. McCarthy is still very much part of the story. The organization hasn't abandoned him. In fact, they continue to emphasize his potential and the unfortunate circumstances he's faced. The real tension here is timeline versus talent. Do the Minnesota Vikings accelerate the window with a veteran? Or do they double down on development and trust the process? And let me ask you directly, Vikings Nation, what would you do? Ride with McCarthy and accept some growing pains? Or bring in a proven arm and raise the floor immediately? Because one thing is certain, the Vikings are not standing still. They are evaluating. They are calculating. And they understand the stakes. Watching Sam Darnold win elsewhere adds urgency. Hearing O'Connell talk about shifting timelines adds intrigue. Seeing names like Kyler Murray enter the conversation adds fuel to the fire. This offseason could define the next 5 years of Minnesota Vikings football. That's not exaggeration. That's reality in today's NFL. So drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Should the Vikings target a veteran starter? Is Kyler Murray a real option? Or is J.J. McCarthy still the guy, no questions asked? If you're passionate about the Minnesota Vikings and you want daily Vikings news that breaks it down with energy, honesty, and real fan perspective, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with every member of Vikings Nation. We're just getting started, and this quarterback saga? It's far from over. Skol.